All right. Hey, everyone. Sorry, I'm running behind here today. Uh, Technical problems. I apologize. So, we're going to get right into this and not waste any time. All right. So, again, I appreciate you joining me. What we're going to do here in the stream, if you're new, I want to welcome you. We're going to take a look at the NASDAQ futures and we're going to use the Trade Scanner Pro to see if we can find any trade ideas that are worth taking. And in this account, I am working with an Apex evaluation account, and the goal is to reach $3,000. And I'm documenting every single trade so that you guys can see if this is feasible or not. Okay, and we're doing this in a realistic way. This is not one of these unsustainable, let's, do some kind of all in position and hope it works out type of thing, which is unsustainable. There are a lot of gimmicks out there. I'm showing you reality here. I know it's not popular. I know people don't like it, but if you want to be in this game, you need to know reality. Now, real quick, I just want to mention before we get to the NASDAQ, uh, this Bitcoin situation. In my article in TradingView, now I'm gonna stream again today at 3 o'clock for the to talk about we're going to talk about analysis. But I talked about the 106K breakout, looking for the push higher. Right, candle had to close strong. We got all that, and then this candle. This is why you have to look at the risk, because the thing is the 106K breakout, your stop would have to go below this range. This market is not really doing anything, but this is definitely what you do not want to see after taking a breakout. This fake out, you don't want to see that. So that's why I encourage people work on smaller time frames. This is a game of adjusting, right? You take you try for the breakout, which was the higher probability idea, but you get this instead. That's not the look, okay? This is not what a breakout should look like when it follows through. The next candle should have looked like this, right? That's what the next candle should have looked like, not this. So if this closes like this, and you got long on the 106K breakout, you should probably be taking your loss. I can't give advice, but I'm just saying, because if this candle closes weak like this and the low is broken tomorrow, then you're looking at a broader pullback, right? And that, if you have not factored in that type of risk, you can run into some pretty painful problems. All right, so that's all I'm going to say about that. Hey, Hussein, good to see you. We will talk about that more at the 3 o'clock stream. All right, so let's switch over. I'm sorry again, I'm running behind. We're going to go to MNQ. All right, MNQ1, which is the micro NASDAQ futures. And I'm going to demonstrate for you on this stream how I use the Trade Scanner Pro to look for trade ideas. And if you're using the Trade Scanner Pro in the 14-day free trial, here, let me just get rid of these moving averages. We don't need those. Then these streams serve as a training program for you, and it's free. Okay, you could go back and watch all my streams. Every trade is documented. There's nothing behind the scenes going on here. Every trade in this account has been there's a record of it, right? So you can watch and see how this works um, in a realistic way. All right, I'm just changing that's the weekly chart, right? Yeah, okay. So we're going to change that over to the hourly. In fact, this chart over here on this side, we're going to change over to the 1 minute, because that's really all we need for that. All right, so using the Trade Scanner Pro, let's get right into it. Now, when you use this thing, when you first get the Trade Scanner Pro, the first thing you have to do is, I'm just going to turn it on over here. What is going on with my mouse? Okay, you got to turn it on, and you have to realize that you have to turn on these functions: trailing stop, the show previous trades, and heads up. You must turn those on, otherwise you're going to be missing some important information. I know they should probably be on automatically, but we'll get to that in another version. Um, so you have to turn those on. Now, when you're using the Trade Scanner Pro, one of the most important things is you have to come up with your analysis first. The Trade Scanner Pro is a confirmation tool, so it's secondary. So if you're coming up with your analysis, for example, and you see a trade signal pop up on your chart, but it's not has nothing to do with your analysis, you ignore the trade signal. You turn it off. Okay, you just click on the little eyeball, the little eye icon up here. I don't understand what's going on up here. You just click on this little eye icon and you hide it because it's not part of your idea. The idea, your idea, carries more weight than the signal. The signal simply confirms your idea and then helps you define risk, and it gives you a profit objective that is relative to your idea. I must emphasize that. Your idea comes first. If you see a conflicting signal, you ignore that signal because that's not aligned with your idea. All right, so that's the first thing. So the second thing is, well, how do you come up with the idea? That's what I'm going to show you. So we're looking at the NASDAQ futures here. Now, I like to begin with the daily time frame. I'm going to show you this step by step. I repeat this on every single stream. So on the daily time frame, what I like to do here is I just like to notate certain levels. All right, so we have that's the overnight low, right? Then we have yesterday's low. We have the overnight high right here, and then we have yesterday's high. You want to note those levels every time because they can be relevant in today's session. So those are going to serve as important support and resistance levels or inflection points. That's all I need to know there. I don't need to know anything else, right? Now, let's go to our 1 hour chart. Because again, understand that in this session, I know in advance that I'm only interested in day trades. I'm not interested in swing trades or anything like that. So because I know that, and I know the time frames in advance that I want to trade, I can use certain other time frames to get my context. So in this example, on every stream, I use either the 30-second chart or the 1 minute chart to take trades. Okay, so for those of you that follow me regularly, you know that. I take either, the trade is either going to be on 30 seconds or 1 minute. That's it. Nothing else. So because I know that in advance, I can use the 1 hour or the 30-minute to get context. In this case, I'm going to use the 1 hour. Now notice there's a trade idea that's present on the 1 hour chart, but that's meaningless because I haven't even done my analysis yet. All right, so I'm going to turn that off. See that? I turned it off because it's not relevant to my idea because I don't have an idea yet. Make sense? So you have to do the same thing if you want to use this properly. If you don't do what I'm showing you here, you're just going to have random results and you're not going to be happy with the outcome. The whole purpose of the Trade Scanner Pro is to simplify your decision-making process and give you reference points to trade by, but you have to have something to reference, and that's your idea. Now, so let's get to the idea part. So we have support and resistance levels. What we're looking for here is structure, right? We want to determine the trend. What is the trend on this time frame? That's the question we need to answer. So based on what I see here, I'm not using any oscillators. I'm not using any other stuff. It's very simple. I'm looking for the highs and the lows. That's it. So we have higher low, higher high, okay? Higher low basically. It's not precise, but this low is higher than this low, right? This low, oh, I'm in the way. Hold on, let me get out of the way. This low here is higher than this low. I'm going to say it again. This low, this low is higher than this low. That's bullish. That's not bearish. These lows over here are slightly higher up here. See that? But then you have this one. Yeah, it broke this support a bit. Okay, a bit. But this is not a major support break. This is not, because it reversed pretty quickly. You see that? It went into the area. It went into the area. It went into this area right here. And you see, it's not a whole lot lower than this low. It's not a whole lot lower. That is typical. Let me get out of the way. Do you see that? It's not a whole lot lower. That is typical of a consolidation. Okay? Does that make sense? This type of price action here is typical. So you don't want to get confused and say, well, it broke support, it's bearish. No, it's not bearish. To be bearish, it has to break a series of supports, not just one. A couple, and it has to be a major support, right? Where are the major supports? What defines this trend structure? If we go back, I mean, you can use like a retracement tool and do something like this, right? And you could look at the 50% of this move right here, the 50% retracement of this move, And you could use that as a reference and say, all right, as long as it stays above that, I'm going to lean on the bullish side. But if it breaks below that, then I may start thinking more on the bearish side. That's how you have to look at that. Hey, Shashank, how are you? Long time no see. Yeah, I remember you. How are you? Good to see you. So, my point here is this is not a bearish trend just because this support break attempt occurred. Does that make sense? Let me know if it doesn't, because that's very important. What that means to me is this trend is still bullish. That's what this means. The general trend is bullish on the NASDAQ. So, why is that important? Because it's going to affect how I consider support and resistance levels. So, in a bullish environment, supports typically hold, resistances typically break. Why is that important? Because, for example, we're coming up to a resistance level over here, right? You see from the lines that I drew earlier. Because resistance levels are more likely to break in a bullish environment, I should not be so quick to short that, because shorting it is going to be lower probability. Now, that doesn't mean a short won't work. A lower probability could mean it has a 35% chance of working, and a 75% chance or whatever, 70% or 65% chance of not working, right? That's lower probability. If I'm working on the minor side of the probability, right? That makes sense. So it doesn't mean those trades won't work, but over 1,000 trades, they're less likely to work. I'm not interested in that, especially since I'm trying to beat an eval account here. I need to align probabilities as much as possible. So what this tells me here is I'm not going to be interested in shorts. Now, we don't really have any support levels nearby except for this one, this lower one. We're not there right now. We're sort of near a resistance, and we're kind of just like in the middle of it, right? All right. And we're not at the major resistance is going to be up here. We're not up there either. So I'm going to, based on what I'm telling you here, I'm going to lean on the long side. That's my idea. So you see how I came up with that? The general trend is bullish. We're sort of at a resistance level, but it's not a major resistance. And I plan to work on the long side because I'm trying to align with the bigger picture. Now, another thing I have to mention is, what time is it? It's just after 10 o'clock. So just after 10 o'clock, this is an important day trade technique. You go to your first candle close, which is this one, right? That's 9:30 to 10 o'clock. This candle here opened at 9:30 and it closed at 10 o'clock. What is that? Can anyone tell me what that is? What do we refer to that as? For those of you that watch regularly, what is that? Why is that important? Who can tell me? Let's see if you guys have been paying attention. Why is that important? The 9:30 candle to the 10:30, the 9:30 open to the 10 o'clock close. Why is that important? And if you're not sure, say I don't know, so I can give you the answer. Why is that important? Again, the question is the 9:30 close. I'm sorry, the 9:30 open to the 10 o'clock close. What is that? Why am I interested in that? Man, what is going on over here? No one wants to tell me the answer to that? Look at that. We blew through the resistance. Look at that. No one wants to tell me? Oh, look at this beautiful trend. I'm waiting for an answer. Anyone, no answers? Anyone out there? Let me see. What is this? Oh, okay. Bullish. If there's any events, okay. No, you guys, those are okay answers, but you're not answering my question. That's not the answer I'm looking for. There's an important thing. There's a significant thing from the 9:30 to 10 o'clock close. There's something important about that. There's something statistically relevant. What is it? Opening range. Hey, you got it. Opening range. Guys, if you're not familiar with opening range breakout, Google it. Opening range breakout. Google that. That's an important day trade technique. Now, it doesn't mean you take the breakout, but the opening range gives you another point of reference by 10 o'clock. Now, yes, 10 a.m. there's often news items that come out at that time, but opening range is a statistically relevant measure, and you should be familiar with it. So as you can see, we're above the opening range. That's bullish. If we were below the opening range, that's bearish. So that can kind of give you a point of reference. So that adds to my bullish argument. I should not be shorting this. We're above the opening range. I should not be shorting this. I should be looking for longs. Does that make sense? That's statistically relevant. That's been around a long time. Google it. There's a lot to learn. By the way, if you're watching me on Twitter, please do me a favor. Please retweet my stream. It helps me out. And if you're on YouTube, please press the like button and all that stuff here. Let me click my magic button over here. Where is it? Is it this one? I think it's this one. Yeah, there it is. Do me a favor. Subscribe, like, press all that if you're new. And if you're on Twitter, please retweet my stream. It's very helpful. Another thing I want to mention is if you look at the links in the description, I have the link to me hosting the ICTC 2025 trader competition. The link is in the description. Check that out. The two streams, it was 2 days. Okay, I was in Andorra for 2 days. It was 6 hours a day where we were streaming and watching these guys compete, and it's all there. You could watch the repeat of it. So check it out. It's really cool. I'm like the host, okay, and I got my co-hosts, and it was a lot of fun. The link is in the description, and also if you want to just be cool and help me out, make me look better, leave a comment on their comment thing because these are videos on YouTube. Leave comments saying, "Hey, good job, Mark P. Markets. Cool to see you," or whatever. Just let people know that my people are going there and watching the videos. That would be helpful too. All right. Anyway, just wanted to mention that. And by the way, I do have plans. I'm in talks with some of these guys to do interviews on my channel. So I'm not going to stream them. It's not going to be in real time. Those will be uploads. But we're going to talk to some of those traders from that competition, and we're going to go beyond the competition. We're going to talk about more of their style and more of the details about them on how they trade outside the competition. Because the competition, you have to make a lot of adjustments to trade in that environment. So there's a lot to learn from these guys. And some of these guys are really impressive, especially the young guys. They're like half my age, and they're very advanced for such young guys. It's like, damn, I was very impressed. Because me at that age, I knew a fraction of what these guys know. So it's going to be cool to hear from them and learn from them as well. So I have those are plans that I'm working on. So, and they seem to be interested too. Like I talked to a couple of guys about it and they're like, yeah, that sounds cool. So anyway, and the winner, of course, I've been in talks with him and he's likely to do it as well. Maxim. So it'll be really interesting to hear from these guys. All right. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. So as far as our Trade Scanner Pro is concerned, we know we want to work on the long side. We know we're not going to short resistance levels. Okay. So that takes me now. So I've now got enough information for my 1 hour chart. So I hope you guys are going through these steps each time when you're using the Trade Scanner Pro, because if you're not, you're going to have problems. And I don't want you to have problems. So now, because I know in advance that I want to work on a 30-second chart or a 1 minute chart, I'm going to change this to a 30-second chart now. All right. So my 30-second, I'm going to monitor 2 time frames because sometimes we get a signal on one and not on the other. So I'm going to monitor 2 time frames. Now, it's possible you guys could trade on, a 5-minute time frame or a 15-minute. The reason why I don't do that here is because it would take forever to get signals. So I have to work with these really tight, small time frame signals for purposes of the stream. And we've been doing okay with it. But if these are too fast for you, you could use a 5-minute and a 15-minute, and you can apply the same concepts that I explained. You're just going to have to wait around longer for signals, which, you could use the TradingView notification system for that. You simply right click and you click on this over here, and then you can add a notification, and then TradingView will let you know when a signal pops up or a heads up pops up and all that kind of stuff. So you could use that for the larger time frames. If you want to use a 15-minute and stuff like that, which is more that's like a longer time frame day trade. Or if the larger the time frames, you go 30-minute, 1 hour. Now you're getting into like the swing trade territory, 4 hour, that kind of thing, where trades can be multiple days. All right, so we're all set up. We know what we're looking for. Notice we have this gap over here. I don't know what the story is with that. Is that the 10 o'clock? No, that's not 10 o'clock. All right, that could be news. That could be just a bad data feed thing. I don't know, but there's a gap in there. Okay, gaps often act as support or resistance levels. In this case, we have a support. All right, that's cool, whatever. But I have no signal. Now I'm going to turn the Trade Scanner Pro back on over here because I had it turned off because it was confusing on the other time frame. I don't need to go into counter trend mode. Why? Who can tell me that? Who can answer that question? Why do I not need to go into counter trend mode here? Anyone want to answer that? For my regulars, you guys should know that answer. Counter trend mode is an important thing, and I demonstrate that on streams where I need to use it. Like the previous stream, I had to use it. And it's particularly important for these small time frames because why? Who can answer that question? And if you don't know, please say, I don't know. And I would be happy to explain it to you. All right. So I'm not using counter trend mode. I'm in regular mode. And these green columns, by the way, that's called heads up. And that lets you know a signal is likely to appear soon in the next 3 to 5 candles typically. So I don't have any heads up right now. This is my 1 minute chart over here. I don't have any heads up. All I have is a higher low developing. This is one of the cool things about the Trade Scanner Pro is something like this, higher low, that may suck me in naturally. I'm like, oh, higher low, oh, it's going higher. And I may jump in, but there's no signal there. So yeah, it may turn into something, but a lot of times it will keep you out of trouble because there's no reference, right? So there's nothing for me to do. And it's good to trade less, especially when you work on these smaller time frames. One of the most common problems is the overtrade, where you're taking too many trades. If you watch my streams, on a busy stream, I'll have like maybe 3 trades in an hour, which is kind of a lot. All right. If I can get the first trade right, if I'm right the first time, I'm done. I turn it off because that's the goal. I'm just trying to get the account ahead, take some green and turn it off. So look, this thing is advancing a bit, but I'm not doing anything. There's no signal. What can I do? I'm monitoring a 30-second chart. I'm monitoring a 1 hour chart. There's no signals. Going back on my 1 minute chart here, I mean, look, I have not had a signal since here. How long is that? 67 minutes, over an hour, there has been no signal. See that? And on my 30-second chart, also looking at there, well, same thing, no signal. What's up with that? Sometimes the market moves in such a way that it doesn't pull back far enough to generate a signal. The Trade Scanner Pro is a pullback tool. Now, in this situation, I'm willing to bet that if I look at a 15-second chart, there are going to be signals. See, look, in fact, there was a signal very recently. Look at that. But I'm not taking 15-second signals. When you have like a really tight, slow grind kind of market, that's where you're going to find the signals on a 15-second chart. See that? Look at that. Look at this beautiful consolidation. Look at this. The pullback, that would have been worth something. But why am I not taking 15-second charts? Because it's not part of my plan. And I'm not going to change now. 15-second charts can be extremely noisy. I mean, 30-second charts are noisy. So 15-second chart is going to be even worse. I don't want to encourage bad habits for beginners. Okay? I mean, personally, I would be open to a 15-second chart, but I got to draw the line somewhere here. You don't want to be jumping around, let me check the 5-second. Let me check the 15-second. Let me check. You're just going to get into trouble. So my rule for this stream is 30-second or 1 minute. Maybe I'll be open to a larger time frame, like a 2-minute or something like that, but really, really not really. I mean, look at 2-minute. Anything there? There's nothing there on a 2-minute. How about a 3-minute? Anything there? Nothing there. Look at that. What a move since the open. So the larger the time frame, the less frequent the signals and the greater the risk. So it's going to be less noise, but the risk is going to be slightly greater. And the risk is defined by the average true range, which is part of the formula that we use for the Trade Scanner Pro. The nice thing is it simplifies the whole thing for you. You don't have to look at some weird graph on the bottom of your chart trying to figure out what it's telling you. Okay, the Trade Scanner Pro uses that information to quantify the risk, and you can see it clearly on your chart when we get a signal. Make sense? So let me know if you have any questions, guys. No one answered my question about counter trend. I see. Oh no, wait, maybe hold on. This stupid, this chat thing doesn't advance unless I move it. So I still see the same questions, and I think no one's talking to me. So let me see here. I was surprised to see how Malik's system was similar. Yes, yes, Malik and Merlin, both of them. And I noticed Merlin in particular was because he was doing the thing like where he was putting illustrations on his chart, and he was letting us know what he was thinking by drawing those illustrations, just like I do on my trading view charts. And these guys are impressive. The funny part, because I had a chance to have like a talk with them behind the scenes. The funny part is their foundation is ICT, which we all know is very controversial. But I guess, the ICT guy himself is a fraud, but obviously he was able to deliver some value because these guys are using some of his material as their foundation. And like as Malik explained to me, then he made it his own, which is the right thing to do. But they're all aware of the controversy around ICT, but still, obviously, they got some value out of it. Now, me, I'm not a big fan of ICT simply because all they're doing is using fancy words for basic concepts, basically. But hey, this was their point of reference, and they got somewhere with it. So I applaud them for that. And those two, particularly Malik and Merlin, they expressed interest in doing the interview with me so we can learn from them. They were impressive. I mean, these guys are not even 25 years old, and they're so advanced. They're very successful, ambitious guys. I wish I knew 1,000 guys like those guys. I mean, it was really a pleasure meeting them and talking to people like that. So anyway, so A says analysis is bullish. Trade Scanner is also bullish. We will get the long signals. Actually, I'd never heard of ICT. Oh, yeah. Well, it's very popular especially in the prop firm space. A lot of people, they adapt ICT. They adopt ICT because it has a large following. So for example, if I wanted to get more followers, I would put like ICT things in my title. I would say, ICT interpretation, blah, 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 blah. And then ICT, oh, I want to learn that. So it's like a cult. All right. ICT is compared to a cult. And you have this cult following. And basically, so a lot of these fake gurus, what they do is they use it as a magnet, as a point of reference to get a following. All right, that's what they do because so many people are into it. But anyway, you should if you want to learn about it, before you do that, you should watch all the expose videos first, so you know what you're dealing with. But anyway, yeah. So you're right, no counter trend, because there's no reason for counter trend. Usually the reason for counter trend is this up here, the trend status. This you have to pay a very close eye. You have to pay very close attention to this, particularly on very small time frames like 30-second and all that, because this changes a lot. And that's just the nature of it, okay? Because of the frequency of the time frame, the small time frame. And if our idea is to go long, but this is saying the market is bearish, it's looking at a very, very small piece of the market, and that's not what our idea is aligned to. We want to align with the larger picture. That's when we use counter trend mode. So if this turns bearish for whatever reason over the next few minutes, that would prompt me to change the counter trend mode. Now that is confusing. I agree. And I've talked to Stain about, I pronounce his name right now, Stain. I talked to him about coming up with a more visual, a friendlier way, a more visually friendly way to arrive at that decision. And it's something he's working on, but he's been real busy. So, I have no timeline on when he's going to have that done, but he's aware of it. It's just going to take some time, and I have to be patient. But meanwhile, the Trade Scanner Pro in its current form is very usable. As you can see, my previous streams, I've been doing okay with it, right? And we're always going to be, there's a lot of improvements that are planned, but it's going to take some time. Meanwhile, I can use this as an opportunity to teach you the concepts and put them into practice. And then when we make those adjustments to the Trade Scanner Pro, it'll only get easier for you because you know the hard part. It's like doing a math problem by hand versus using a calculator, right? If you do the math problem by the calculator, you don't get to really appreciate the complexity of the math problem because you're taking the easy way out with the calculator, right? But if you actually do the math problem by hand, you actually understand what you're calculating. It's the same thing here. So as we advance the Trade Scanner Pro, the decision-making process should get easier, but it will be more valuable to you for you to understand how to do it by hand, like we're doing now. Like using writing out the equation by hand and solving it on paper versus the calculator. So anyway, yeah. All right. So again, if you're new to the stream, welcome. There are no signals here right now, so there's really nothing for me to do. We can learn a lot from this because staying flat is a position. As you can see, the market's pulling back here. What if I got excited before and I bought into this? Now either I'm getting out for break even maybe, or I'm hoping that the position keeps going my way, but the Trade Scanner Pro never called a signal. So keeps me out of trouble, right? You have to understand something about markets, especially on smaller time frames. By the way, here's our first heads up. We haven't seen one of these in a while. Markets are random, especially on small time frames. They're highly random. While this looked orderly and it looked like, oh yeah, I know where this is, it's going higher. There was no way we could have seen this move coming right after it. It's random. That is random. So the Trade Scanner Pro helps you embrace the random nature of the market. That is what, in order to be effective as a trader, you must accept the random nature. It's like playing poker. If you can't accept that, the market will just take all your money and you'll become an investor. Because that's what happens to traders. They think they have some kind of natural feel and blah blah blah. They lose all their money and they're like, well, investing is being a trader is not for me. Investing is better, right? Because it's easier. Because you don't have to think much. You could be a moron and you could be a successful investor, pretty much. When the market's going higher, everyone makes money, right? There are some more savvy investors who look at things in ways that the typical investor does not look at. But investing is easier because there's a lot less decision making. You just buy and hold and hope for the best. Yes, you take the most risk. You're at the mercy of the market, but hey, people don't care. It's more of like, hey, look, I'm making some money. I feel cool, right? That's an investor. So you could take investing more seriously, of course, and all that, but I don't think the typical investor gets that detailed. Okay, the more serious investor, sure. But as a trader, which I think offers a lot more opportunity than being an investor, because there's opportunities every day. Minute to minute, there are opportunities if you understand how to recognize them and manage the risk. Right now, we're getting a heads up. This is saying that a signal is likely to appear in the next 3 to 5 candles. We may get a long signal here, right? And that's what I'm looking for. It's a pullback, right? The Trade Scanner Pro is a pullback tool. We got a pullback. Look, we're back inside the gap area. Notice? So we're very likely to get a signal very soon here. What time is it? Ooh, it's 10:30. All right. Not a great time. Okay. 10:30 is typically a news item time. So I'm willing to bet if we're going to get a signal, it's probably going to be at 10:30. Especially if you get a vertical candle. We get something like this. Now, has my trend changed yet on this time frame? Let's see. Not yet. It hasn't turned bearish yet. Okay, so I'm still in trend mode. But with a move like this, it may turn bearish very soon, which will require me to switch to counter trend mode in order to get long signals. You guys understand that? And if you don't, please let me know so I can explain. So we're very likely to get a signal. If I get a signal, I'm going to buy 2 contracts. Right, that's the plan. I got my thing set up over here for 2 contracts of the MNQ. I'm getting a heads up on the 1 minute also. Look at that. The green column on the 1 minute. Okay, that's good to see. So I'll take one. Well, if I get the signal, I'll take one trade. We'll see how it goes. Now, when the signal pops up, again, what I'm showing you here is not something you're going to like learn in a book or you're going to figure out on your own. That's why you have to watch these streams and rewatch the streams because there's a lot of valuable lessons here. There's no signal here yet, but on the close of this candle, a signal is likely to appear. Let's see, because it's based on the candle close, right? Now, when the signal appears, I'm not going to jump in instantly. I'm not. What am I going to do? Who knows? Who knows what I'm going to do? Let's see if that signal pops up. It's very likely. Let's see. There it is. How do I know that? Okay. What I'm looking for is green, right? Green. I want to see how this candle develops. You see how the signal appeared. See the candle, how it's fooling around here? Okay. My question that I want, all right, I'm taking it. The question that I want to know from the market, I should have waited. The question that I want to know from the market is my next candle green or red once the signal appears? That's my question, right? So I like to usually wait. See, like this, if I had waited a little bit, I would probably be still flat, right? If I had waited a bit. Because if I see this, I don't want to take the signal. I want to see green. So I'm giving this a chance. My stop is here. I'm going to have to get out manually. 24 points. Oh man, that's nothing. That's low risk. That's like if I lose 24 points, that's a win. Okay, that's very tight. So I don't mind losing 24 points on two contracts. That's going to be, what is that? 24 points each. That's going to be like what, about $100, I think. I'm going to have to bang this. Hold on. We touched the stop. Yeah, now you have to respect the levels here. You have to respect the orders. If you don't, then this is pointless. Now it's ideal. The ideal thing to do is to what do you call it? Use a hard stop. Okay, you program the stop in by you click on trade over here and you put all that information in here. I don't have time to do that here, but I would highly recommend that because if there's some news item, what time is it? Okay, it's just after 10:30. If there's a news item and this thing spikes the wrong way on me, I'm going to take a much larger stop than I should be. And that's, a 24-point stop could turn into a 34-point stop very quickly. And that's not what's calculated here, right? So you don't want that kind of slippage. Use a hard stop. So I'm going to try to give this a chance. Now, if the price goes back above that blue line, that's typically a signal to add more, which is something advanced. That's not something you're going to learn, or that's not intuitive. You're only going to learn that from watching me. All right. Now we'll see if I get that opportunity. Maybe I'll add a contract in this situation since the risk is relatively low in this environment. Maybe. All right. But I'm not going to add one now. You could say, well, you have a better price now. You should add one now. I'm not going to do it now. All right. We're close to the stop. Sure, I'm taking less risk on it, but I want momentum to be in my favor, not going against me. So I'm not going to add. Maybe if we go back above the blue line, maybe I'll add. I'll add one, maybe. Okay, but right now I'm going to leave my contracts at 2 because if I have to bang this out, I want to bang out both. All right, so we're trying to work our way up. All right, I'm going to switch this to one contract because I'm preparing to add. Okay, I'm preparing to add. So I'll have a total of 3 contracts if I have the opportunity to add. Now, the reason for doing that is if I lose on 2, but if I win on 3. That's a positive reward risk, right? I lose less if I lose, but I win more if I win. That's how you make money over time. That formula right there. That's if you're not employing that type of formula, you're just wasting your time. It doesn't matter how great your system is. It doesn't matter how high your win rate is. None of that really matters. If you lose more when you lose than when you win. Okay? Very important. Now there are systems it's called like asymmetric risk where, they'll risk 20 to make 10. But those are usually like high frequency type systems where the probability of making 10 points is extremely high. It's like 95%. But typically that's an algo. An algo will operate on that level, not a person. Okay. So, here we go. All right. I'm buying one more. Okay. So I just put on a third contract. Now, if I'm wrong, I have to bang out a 3. We touched that blue line, so I'm gonna give this a try. It's a little riskier. I may regret doing that, but so now if I'm wrong, I bang out 3. Okay. So again, this is not something you're going to learn by playing around with the Trade Scanner Pro yourself. You have to watch my streams to learn what I just showed you. Now, my 1 minute, look, I like the way my 1 minute looks. Look what we have here. We have a failed low situation. I really like to see that. Okay. Failed low in an area of a gap. Now, I don't know what the story is with this gap. I don't know why there's a gap here. I don't know if that's just bad data, but we are reversing in that area, and that's usually a good sign, right? Gaps typically act as support or resistance levels. I just don't know if that's relevant in this case. It may be just a coincidence. Now, let's see if we can get, at least if we could get up like halfway to the profit objective. If we could get up into this area here, I will consider banging one out, just taking some money off the table. Now, in these streams, as I've explained before, I have a tendency to be very conservative, and I blow these things out early, and I leave a lot of money on the table. But the reason why I do that is because I just want to be ahead. I don't care if I'm ahead by $10 or $20 or what. I don't care. I just want to be ahead, and I'd rather make $10 than lose $50. Okay, because these aren't the highest quality trades, and that's okay. But over time, if I continue to do what I'm doing, I'll catch some better trades, and that's what's going to advance the account forward dramatically. So the key is to just stay out of trouble. Okay. Yes, it's going to take longer doing this. It may take me a couple of months to get to $3,000 doing this way, but it's sustainable. So if you're one of those people that's a Ferrari chaser and you're in a hurry because you want to be rich and blah, 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 please look elsewhere because you will fail. I can almost guarantee you will fail, right? What I'm showing you here is reality. This is reality. If you don't like this, this is not the right game for you. Okay, go to a casino. This isn't the right game. Reality is boring. It's tedious most of the time. It sucks most of the time. It's not glamorous. I'm not making $1,000 a minute. Now all I have to do is put on some size, but if I'm wrong, I'm going to blow the account. Okay. And the goal is not to blow the account. So I can gamble. And if I'm right, I can beat the eval in 1 or 2 days. But if I'm wrong, I'm going to blow the eval in 1 or 2 minutes. What's the point then? What's the point of using a prop account? There's no point. Okay. The point is to reach the profit objective in a sustainable way so that I can withdraw profits when I make money, right? I can actually withdraw the money when I make money. That is the point of having a prop firm. So if you're using it any other way, you're just wasting your time. I'm just being honest. All right. So by the way, this touch of the blue line again, that's another entry opportunity. Like if you missed the first opportunity to add, this is a second opportunity to add. I'm not going to do that. I have 3 contracts. That's enough. But that's every time it retouches the blue line, the entry line, you can consider that a possible reentry. Now, why that's a very important lesson is a lot of times when you're looking at like an hourly chart or a 15-minute chart, you may have missed the initial signal, which may have happened an hour ago. But by the time you pull it up, it's touching the blue line again. And that could give you another potential entry on your larger time frame trade. Okay, that's why this is an important lesson. Everything that I'm applying here can be used on larger time frames. It just takes a lot longer for the trades to play out. Okay, you're looking at hours or maybe even days. Now look, my trailing stop is now in effect. See the trailing stop? It is now in effect. In order to get that, of course, on your chart, you have to make sure it's activated with those boxes that I showed you earlier. The trailing stop is now going to reduce my risk in this trade after each candle close. That's the whole value behind the trailing stop. Okay, let me get out of the way here. See that? So it's barely advanced. So it's reduced my risk barely anything. But as this trade advances, see how the trailing stop just popped up? See that? So it just reduced my risk a little bit more, assuming I respect the trailing stop. If you don't respect it, then it's pointless. You just, again, wasting your time. Okay, we are now in the midpoint area. Okay, I like it. I like it. All right, keep it going. I'm moving to one contract here because I'm planning to sell one just to take some money off the table. Let's see how this candle closes. See, I'm being quick about it. That's a pin bar, but let's see if it's green, I'll take it. If I start to get some red, I'm going to bang one out because I want to reduce my risk. Now, the more appropriate thing to do here would just be relax and let it ride. But remember, I'm in a prop account and I need to keep my money. All right, I'm going to sell one. All right, so I just sold one. Okay, locked in a little profit. Now I have 2 contracts left. I'm going to try to hold on to these 2. I'm going to switch my size here back to 2 contracts because if I have to blow this thing out, I blow it out. It's very possible that this thing goes right to the trailing stop. Okay, see that? It's on its way there. See that? So good thing I blew out of one. At least I reduced my risk a bit. This trade may still be a negative trade, but I got out of one. That's why I do that. Because I know how the NASDAQ trades. And I'm not going to sit here and hope and say, oh, I hope it goes up here because I'm going to be rich. I don't do that. I know the noise in this thing. I know its personality very well. So when it gives me a little gift, I'm happy to take it. Okay? That's why I do that. Now, again, that same habit that I just showed you also costs me money. I leave a lot of money on the table, but I don't care about money on the table. Honestly, it's not my money that's on the table. It's the market's money. I don't care. I'm interested in protecting my money. The money in this account, I'm interested in protecting that because I need that money in order to make more money. The money on the table, hey, it's always going to be there. There's always going to be plenty of money on the table. So my point is greed doesn't really affect me. I've been in this game so long, I recognize that greed is a serious problem and is very costly. We've all been there, right? But I've been there probably more times than you. So I don't care about money on the table. You know, that NASDAQ trade that I had, right? I had the Qs long when we had the tariff situation. And I got out at 464, right? And I made money on the options. Do you know how much money I left on the table? I left a ton of money on the table. But hey, what am I going to do? That trade would have been better if I had waited a little bit longer, if I had waited and I was a little more patient and I was a little less aggressive with my sizing, then I would have made more money in that trade. So I was excited to get out of that trade because I believed the risk was high and I was not interested in assuming any more of that risk. So I was just selling options, taking premiums and hoping to get assigned. Eventually I got assigned at break even and I made money on the premiums. My point is I could have made probably double what I made in that trade. Okay. If I had just done nothing, but I would have assumed all the risk. It's easy to look back and be like, oh, it was so easy. It wasn't because this thing went dramatically against me and I wasn't willing to take that risk a second time. Okay. No one knows the future. All right. So how are we doing here? All right. Okay. Not bad. So I'm trying to ride this thing up to the profit objective. You guys following me so far? Come on, guys. How cool is this? The trade almost stopped out and it's working for me now. I show these trades regularly, as you see. I can't make this up. There's no way I can manipulate the NASDAQ to go my way. I can't front run the NASDAQ. This is a stream where you all are witnessing this. You can follow this on your own charts, right? Unlike fake gurus who show you an upload. Look how much money I made with their upload. This is a stream. That's why I stream this. I don't trade this account outside the stream. So you're seeing everything. All right. I don't like that candle. I'm sitting here. I'm thinking I'm all big and bad. And the market's like, oh, yeah? Yeah, we'll see how cool you are once I go to your trailing stop. Okay, but this is a 30-second chart. It's very erratic. Now notice my trailing stop has advanced nicely. My risk at this point on this trade has went from 24 points to 7 points. I mean, come on. That's practically break even. If this thing goes to the trailing stop, I'm probably going to be green on this trade. So what I'm going to do here, because I don't like this candle action, I'm going to probably take one more off. If I get another red, I'm just going to blow one more. See, you know what? F you. I'm sorry, Mr. Market, but F you. because I'm not giving it back. Okay? I'm just letting you know. Not giving it back. I'll hold on to one. I'll give one a chance because I know I act like a little girl sometimes. I understand. But just in case you go all back to my trailing stop, at least I locked in a little something. Okay? That's how you got to be. You have to have a very open mind. You can't sit here and hope. I don't care if I leave money on the table. I locked something in. I got out of 2 contracts. Now, if the market wants to be nice and work its way up to the profit objective, okay, cool. I'll still have 1 contract. I'm not going to sit here and feel bad. Oh, I had 3. I could have been a billionaire. I don't care. Okay? My goal is to reach that $3,000 profit objective in the most sustainable way as possible. And I want to demonstrate that to you so that beginner can see what it takes without having to take ridiculous risk or blow like, 10 accounts trying to do this. I can easily reach the profit objective if I buy 10 lots, 10 mini lots, and it goes 15 points my favor, okay, which it can easily do. But it can also go 10 points the wrong way just as easily, and I'll blow the account. You can do it and get to your payout phase in like a day or 2. You have to pay your setup fee, which is another $140. And then what? What are you going to do then? If you don't have a sustainable strategy, you're just wasting your money. So I'm showing you the sustainable strategy. And it may, like I said, it may take some time to do this, but that's reality, right? And I know there are a lot of other fake gurus out there, and they're like, oh, I beat the eval in like 2 days, and I'm going to show you. Yeah, okay. And they show you ways that you're going to blow your account with anyway. So I know I keep harping on that, but that's an important thing. Look, they shook me out of that one. The market's like, yeah, you're going to tell me to go F me or F you? That's what the market just said to me. F you. I'm sorry, Mr. Market. I'm sorry. All right, just go to the profit objective and I'll forgive you. We'll just, we'll call it even. All right, let's see. Where are we here? Let's take a look at my TradeAvate account. How am I doing? I hope I'm making something. I'm up. Okay, I'm up $47. Is that right? It's not a lot of money. Okay, my total. All right, so I'm up. Look, my open P&L is $33. I'm up. My total P&L is like $75. So almost $100. You know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. Oh, look at this. This market stinks, man. This market stinks. Come on, you couldn't do the profit objective? Come on, man. This sucks. So when it starts acting like this is not a good sign. Okay? It keeps giving us these little failed highs and it's not popping up. What's happening there, I might have to bang this out. What's happening there is people keep buying it and it's not working. Right? That's what's happening here. You have buyers trying to buy these breakouts and it's not breaking out. And when that happens, more and more buyers get stuck in this thing. And eventually they're all going to bang this thing out. Okay? Look at the 1 minute chart. Look what's happening here. This is nonsense, man. Look at this. This is what I mean. This sucks. See that? That consolidation? So you have 2 things happening here. Shorts are piling in because they're like, it's a lower high oscillator. Well, my RSI says to go short, right? That's what that's saying. But it's not breaking any supports. It's just consolidating. So at some point, it's going to break one way or the other. And whichever way it breaks, there's going to be a pile of people on the wrong side. And they're going to drive it further against themselves, right? So if this breaks higher, you're going to see something like that. Okay? But if it doesn't break higher, now remember, the bigger picture trend is bullish, so the probability favors the higher break, but that doesn't mean we're going to get it now. We may pull back first just to shake out people like me. That's just the nature of the market. It's random. So accept that. The general trend is bullish and you may get frustrated, but I don't understand. This thing is bullish and it's going against me. Market's random. Okay, there's a lot of noise. Overall, it may be bullish and there may be another buying opportunity. Okay, I'm getting tired of this. Okay, I'm getting tired of watching these red candles. Okay, we're going to go to that trailing stop. I'm going to bang it. We haven't touched it yet. We have to touch it. Sometimes it may just almost touch it and then turn around. It could do that. So that's why just give it a chance. You might as well give it a chance at this point. I might as well give it a chance. So this one contract may be negative. Look, we're getting another heads up to go long, which there may be another signal there. A signal there would be a higher low. Okay, there it is. So the trailing stop is touched. I'm out. respected. That's it. Let's see how much. Let's see my P&L. So I was up like $75. I made $28. So I gave back a good portion of it. What am I going to do, man? At least it's not red. So my account, I'm at 59.72. I mean, these recent trades, these recent days, it's been very hard to advance. You know, you could go back and you can yell at me and you can say, oh, you had almost $100. Why wouldn't you take it? Because I was trying to give the market a chance. Yeah, giving the market a chance means you're risking money. Like I'm risking giving profit back by giving the market a chance. Now, another signal may appear. I'm not taking it. My first trade, I was green. On Friday, I only made $10, but it's better than losing, right? If I looked at the next trade after that, it would have been a negative trade if I had taken it, right? The more you trade, the more of a chance you're going to run into a problem, in my opinion, especially in this slower environment. Does that make sense? So you see, again, I only got away with $28 there, but if I stayed in that trade, it would go negative. I don't want negative. So if all I can do is $30 a day for a few days, I'll take it. It's better than minus 100. Just think about all the days where you've had like a big loss, and you're like, man, imagine if I had just taken today off. That money would still be in your account. So I've been through that enough times to be able to appreciate, like, hey, I get away with a couple of dollars, whatever, man. I don't care. It's not negative. I have achieved my goal today. I've advanced the account a little bit. Now there will be a couple of, a day will come along. There will be days when I have a big advancement, right? Maybe I catch some kind of move and I make $200. Beautiful. But I'm not going to make that every day, especially in this tighter environment. Like the market's certainly tighter. I mean, my risk on this trade was, what was it? 24 points. Do you see how the risk is shrinking, right? I think on Friday, I think the risk was like 40 points or something like that. So it's getting smaller, right? Which means the market's not moving. So in these tight days, I don't want to push it anyway. There's another signal. I'm not taking it. Okay? I'm not taking it. Maybe this one does well, but I'm not taking it. I've had enough. So, if you missed the first signal, then if I was not in the first one, then maybe I'd take this one, right? And I like the way this candle is developing. Thing is, if I bought this now, I'm not buying it at the blue line, am I? I'm buying it nicely above the blue line. So see, and it's giving it back too. See what I mean? So this environment stinks, and so if you get away with some green or whatever, and look at this, it would be going against me now. See what I mean? The environment sucks, man. So I'm happy with my $30. I'm not going to push it. Better environments will come along and we'll have more opportunities. That's the key, is not getting hammered on days like today. Okay, you guys, I think I've talked enough. I've been at it an hour. I got to wrap this up because I was running behind to begin with. Any questions about anything? Any questions, you guys? So again, if you're watching me on Twitter, do me a favor. Please retweet my stream. It's helpful. And on YouTube, press the like button. Man, YouTube stinks. I'm getting angry with YouTube here. I have 4 people on YouTube. YouTube stinks, man. They do nothing to put my stream on the feeds. Nothing, man. Nothing. They really don't like me. So I know I'm gonna have to do some things to whatever. I know I need to do uploads, but man, come on. Like there's no incentive for me to do this. It really isn't. I'm like wasting my time here. No, I appreciate the 4 guys that are watching me. I really appreciate it. But man, I know they're gonna say, "Oh, be patient, man. Stop crying. Be patient. Be patient." I've been doing this for 3 years. I still got to stream in the afternoon. I mean, I haven't been streaming at this time for 3 years, but you know what I'm saying. I just like to complain a lot. All right. So guys, I don't see any other questions. I hope you got some value from the stream. Rewatch the stream because there's a lot to learn. You watched me come up with the trade idea. You watched me wait for a signal. You watched me manage the signal and take on 3 contracts and manage them. So it wasn't a hugely profitable day. I could have gotten away with almost $100, but I gave the market a chance and the payout wasn't there. What am I going to do? Okay, that's the market. Okay, so I'll leave you with that. Join me at 3 p.m. Eastern time today. We will do my analysis stream at that time, and we'll talk about Bitcoin and whatever else you want to talk about. So again, thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, wherever you are in the world, and thank you for watching.